Ahrefs organized their first ever SEO conference in the city of Gardens, Singapore. Probably the cleanest city I have ever been to. In this video, I'll be sharing the key takeaways from the conference. If you missed the conference, stick around till the end and you will have key points as notes. So, without further ado, let's get started. For 2 days in sunny Singapore, Ahrefs gathered 500 digital marketing professionals, including search pros and 18 top speakers from around the world. After the conference kicked off by Tim, Ahrefs CMO, we had our first speaker, Sam. After listening to Sam for 6 years on Ahrefs' official channel, it was the first time I met him in person and got a chance to see him speak on the main stage. He shared how they became the most popular YouTube channel in SEO. According to Databox, the most effective format for generating leads and sales is video when compared to blog post. And I think it's true. The first reason is I personally experienced that after starting this YouTube channel. And one of the SES founders I met at the conference shared the same. They are one of the biggest one when it comes to content optimization tools, and now videos are their third most effective channel to get signups, provided they only started doing it 6 months ago. YouTube's audience is 30% of world's population, and it's only going to increase in the future. So when it comes to YouTube, and especially when your end goal as a brand is to promote the product, then it's not done with tactics. In this case, the promotion is earned. First things first, there are 3 types of audience on YouTube: core, casual, new. Combine 3 of them and it makes your total addressable market that you can target on YouTube. So what Sam suggested was build your core and casual audience centered around your business. It's important and I will tell you why later in the video. There are 4 stages to do that. Stage number 1, embrace SEO brain. SEOs are the people who know how to communicate with people and search engines. Sam first gave suggestion on thinking like an SEO and later on shared the strategies on how not to think like an SEO. Both are necessary to grow your YouTube channel. Well, if you want to rank videos on YouTube and Google Organic, you can find the topic ideas using Ahrefs. This screenshot on the screen explains how you can do that. Alright, in terms of video optimization, he shared his optimization checklist that goes: add target keyword to your title and description, mention relevant keywords in your script, cover necessary subtopics in your content, and use time codes or chapters with relevant keywords. Those were the basic points you heard, right? But here's what's the most important one that definitely makes a lot of difference. Hold people's attention as long as possible, because clicks can be tricked and attention is earned. This is what I mean when I said first, promotion is earned. If you have the most powerful currency in the world, that is their attention, you can easily put your brand in front of their eyes. And when it comes to YouTube, it's a game of exponential gains. I heard this somewhere from Mr. Beast as well in one of his interviews. Aim to improve your videos by 5% every time. Just don't try to improve everything at once. You won't be able to do it. Set a goal that each video will be better from the previous one. I did the same with my own YouTube channel. It could be as small as making the lights better, using better transition, adjusting the camera for better frame, and so on. Now, stage number 2, create core content. Core content is important in a way that it brings people in your ecosystem and gives them knowledge they carry for life. But what it really is. So when you're focusing on creating the core content, you mainly choose topics that are conversion focused, something that brings you leads, sales, signups, etc., combined with high search queries. Again, the focus is putting your brand first. Did you see? We're putting the brand first in any strategy. So if you're only going after high volume topics here, but they have no brand value, you're only going to spend time and resources to acquire the attention of people who can never become your customer. The goal of core content is 10x the input so you can acquire 10x search demand to have 10x impact. Now comes stage number 3, experimentation. The major drawback of creating keyword focused content is people can't and don't remember your name if they got your video from a YouTube search. Then, how do they remember? Recommendations. Recommended videos are a big part of the YouTube algorithm. So, it's no more keyword targeting approach, it's now interest targeting. And when it comes to experimenting, you're really after what interests your audience the most. And that's where your creativity comes in. So, in stage 2, we were focused on SEO focused or keyword based content. Now, in this stage, we are breaking free from the SEO brain. And the first step to do that is list 100 interest focused ideas for your YouTube channel. Keep that in mind. Those ideas must serve core, casual, and new audiences, and they must have the business value. The sources to find these ideas could be from your own YouTube channel and see what worked earlier, or what you can do is go and study. I said study the most successful channels on YouTube. Then take inspiration from the ideas that worked really well for them, aka their most viewed videos, and create your own ideas out of them. For example, like this one. One word of advice from him that he emphasized is just keep publishing. No matter what, you shouldn't stop publishing good content. Videos are an organic way to drive traffic. It takes time, but eventually it's worth all of your efforts. Because the power of videos is that people think of, I feel like I already know you. And that's your branding. I experience this myself too a lot of times when I go to conferences.
Bring it over to my plate. You don't know what.
Lastly, stage number 4, format expansion. There is a rule among programmers: if something works, don't touch it. Same is the case with your videos. If one format works for you, double down on it. The most successful YouTube channels grew the same way. Before we move to the next session, here is one word of advice from Sam. Create content that not only ranks but resonates. Alright, next we have Lily Ray, Vice President at MSF. We have learned a lot about Google this year, including many things they probably didn't want us to know. Lily shared her data-driven recommendations about what's working and what's not after constant Google updates and changes. First off, there was an article penned by Mario that she suggested reading. If you have knack for SEO, read that out this afternoon. I will add the link in the description. There are various SEO challenges and threats at the moment that is affecting SEO visibility, opportunity, and CTR. When Aleyda interviewed Danny from Google, she asked him if AI overviews tracking will be available in GSE or not. The straight answer from him was they don't have any plans to do that. They see AI overviews as a part of search like featured snippets. It creates technical debt for Google to maintain AIO tracking in GSE. I never took advice from Google blogs, so I'm not sure if they're going to change it in future or not. But Google would never implement anything that could cost them more money to reduce their profits.
They're greedy.
Well, coming back to the point, if you want to prepare for AI overviews, she suggested setting up AIO monitoring at first. Thanks to Ahrefs, they now have a feature for that too. Then conduct competitive research to see when AI overviews appears and who ranks. To do that, there is another tool Lily recommended, and that is ZipTie. I'll add the link in the description. Third, and probably the most important one, is focus on EEAT. That is consistent brand information on and off site. I have a complete video on EEAT on my YouTube channel. Go check it out after you're done with this one. I've explained this in my previous videos as well, that micro optimizations will play a big role when it comes to optimizing for AI overviews. One such factor is favicons. The recent most guidelines as per Google is to have a multiple of 48 pixels by 48 pixels favicon for your website. Some of the biggest websites still haven't optimized this, and blank favicons look very bad in AI overview. Then she talked about major 2024 Google updates from the data she studies. For many sites hit by Google algorithm updates, their highest traffic hour days often come just before the algorithmic demotion. And when talking about HCU, most HCU recoveries were so small that it's negligible recovery. So if the content that was optimized for search provides a poor user experience, Google may demote that content over time. Here are some potential examples by her. So if you want to find these patterns for your or a client's website or even your competitors, first crawl the website using any crawler tool, sort alphabetically by title or H1, and look for SEO driven patterns with low traffic or user engagement. You will see what Google means by content written for search engine. If you take a look at the data, the biggest percentage losers year over year are information and affiliate websites. Well, if you think about it, who took their place? No, not Reddit, but forums as a whole. If you just zoom in that graph, Reddit has the biggest growth in the US. So how you can respond to the rise in forum? Well, monitor forum discussions in your niche and related to your brand. Use tools that track discussions and forums like Ahrefs. Foster non-commercial relationships with online communities, and don't launch a forum unless you can moderate it properly. The last one is very important because I've seen people building a separate forum for their website expecting it will benefit their SEO. It won't unless you strategize it properly. The last section of her presentation was Google Discover. One thing that I love doing, and she suggested the same too, play on the data. Analyze the existing Discover data in GSE Discover and double down on what worked for you. For example, entities play a big role in your potential to appear in Discover. Also, you can capitalize on trending topics by finding the headline patterns that work for your site. So, if you want to maximize the clicks, spend great time on titles and featured images. Alright, that's it for Lily. After having a tree break, the next speaker in the row was Bernard from ClearScope. He talked about information gain. So, first things first, what it actually is. According to this patent, an information gain score for a given document is indicative of additional information that is included in the document beyond information contained in documents that were previously viewed by the user. A bit of complex, right? Let me explain it. This diagram shows how Google uses information gain. So when testing Google information gain score, Google heavily relies on what users think because user engagement reinforces learning. It calibrates information gain scores that update the topic knowledge graph. Then he briefly explained how LLMs work as current LLMs models are sophisticated autocompletes. One thing that I learned was the reason behind why LLM outputs are best for short form content. It's because small inconsistencies in short writing produces small discrepancies. That's the reason I always suggest generating the section by section content rather than full-blown articles in my article writing series. I would highly recommend you checking it out. The link is in the description. According to Forbes top website statistics for 2024, a new website is built every 3 seconds. Yes, every 3 seconds. With so much influx, search has been volatile, raising the questions like, will SEO be replaced by AI chat? If article creation is being done by AI, how should Google react? And so on. The problem is the effort required for creating articles is approaching almost zero. The content creation is infinite now, and the computation required to crawl, understand, and index is very expensive. Also, the engagement testing is very costly and limited on Google's end. To combat that, Google is reducing low quality, unoriginal content. Now, Google is using entity overlap to identify topical coverage and redundancy. Here's one example of entity overlap by Bernard. To understand the content relevance, it gauges how well the content covers the related entities that Google expects. Also, if you go and test out the output generated by AI overviews, they end up being entity rich. Here is an example from Bernard for an AI answer by Google for the term what is UGC. Now, another threat to Google being a search engine is, because of that they are losing market share as well, is LLMs being a first worthy search alternative. LLMs like ChatGPT are very good at writing first drafts and answering contextual requests. Now, the problem is Google AI overviews was trained on limited data, and LLM outputs with limited training data produces large discrepancies. Because of that, people are losing trust with search results. How come you can trust it if it suggests eating one small rock a day?
It's stuff like this that gives me trust issues.
I just shared that Reddit had huge growth when it comes to forums. It's because Google and other LLM needs first-party data. UGC and communities contribute discussions with relevant information gain. Lastly, he shared some of the key observations, and here they are. Authority that counts on brand, links, and topic coverage qualifies your site for analysis and user interaction testing. Google expects entity coverage matching its knowledge graph. Content that contributes low or no new entities is redundant and should be removed from the index. User engagement informs Google's knowledge graph of topic evolution, as I explained earlier. Information gain scores calibrate Google's topical knowledge graph. That's it for Bernard. The next speaker is Amanda King, who is principal SEO consultant at Flock. She spoke mainly about how to evolve your SEO strategy to account for Gemini and other AI search functions. Google says that they have been an AI-first company since 2016. So there are 2 big questions here to be answered. How do we come to grips when the AI overviews and other yet non-AI features? How do we provide value and move the needle when Google is well beyond the standard 10 blue links? According to this article by Bright Edge, here is the percentage of keywords with AI overviews by industry. So, how did Google get here? Google is at the point where they care more about intangibles of your business, because entity recognition via knowledge graph is essentially Google's personal Wikipedia. They are building a corpus of information about the company that likely include things like brand sentiment, what the company has been in the news for, and the quality of the products. Inherently, it makes less sense to think of SEO in silos, only limited to the text and HTML on a website property, because Google doesn't and hasn't for a long time. According to this blog, it states rather than simply searching for content that matches individual words, BERT comprehends how combination of words expresses a complex idea. Ranking in Google is also no longer as easy as it is publicized, because Google is looking at the perceived intent of the user. We know they will show results that are informed by more than what the highest page rank is for a particular query, and that looks for things like topical relevance, expertise, user-generated content signals, information gain, something that Bernard explained in great detail, and co-occurrence thresholds. So she suggested a few conservative ways to break our old habits as SEOs. Add FAQs on product pages, consolidate super granularly targeted blog articles. Think outside of the blog folder. The semantic relationship can carry it through the directory order of the website as well. Fit content to purpose. Not everything needs a 3000 words in-depth article, and internal linking can be a secret weapon. One key insight that I really loved was, as you know, Google is much more than a search engine. They have a lot of products. So if your brand isn't consistent across those channels, it matters. Just like search for any non-brand. I love Nike, so I will go for it. This is the kind of entity recognition that we want, but it takes a lot of work, right? They have a Wikipedia page. They use organization schema on their about page. They have thorough product details in schema markup and use merchant center as well, and so on. That's just the start. Then she shared in great detail about AI overview, but we already discussed that in Lily's presentation. Another thing that I loved was the idea of defining quality content, where she referred to the book by Mary that states, you cannot produce original, insightful content that truly demonstrates experience and trustworthiness by outsourcing all of writing to a copywriter and publishing with minimal editing and no edit inside. But for years, many businesses thrived on this model. You can't add truly helpful graphics, unique images, and video without extensive effort and extra cost. Even that cost is just your time. You cannot create the type of content that people will find worthy of bookmarking or sharing with others without significant efforts. This exact thing was explained by Cyrus in CM SEO conference in 2023. If you haven't watched that video, I will add the link in the description. So the key takeaways we have in the end is Google is now at a point where it can deliver on its promise and actually understand the business authority. SEO is no longer simply your client's website. It's all served verticals. Success in modern SEO requires a return to a traditional model, the brand. And that brand building in search demands evidence of repetition, user engagement, popularity, user reviews, links and mentions from authoritative places and topic experts, popularity, social media involvement mentioned in forums, comments around the web. Thank God we had our first lunch break. After lunch break, Cyrus went on the stage and crushed it with his topic. What is helpful content? Though the original title of the presentation was this, that I can't say it loud in the video. Alright, he started the presentation with the overview of what SEO used to be back in 2022. Then with constant updates from Google and they made SEO as a part of their core algorithm, everything changed. The scene here is not focusing on people first content. Did you notice it existing or intended audience in my last screenshot? Here's how he explained it. And when talking about EEAT, specifically E for experience, he explained how experience through media and through language influences your EEAT score. I'm not really sure which study he specifically mentioned, but the data they gathered had three interesting insights. Number one, first-person pronouns per page. The winning sites, like referring to those who survived the updates, were using 23 first-person pronouns per page, and losing sites were using only 9. Disclaimer here, this doesn't mean you should stick to using 23 also. These are just stats to learn the winning sites were using more first-person pronouns. And here's how you can count on personal pronouns using Screaming Frog. Then we have number 2, fixed scroll ads. These ads cover the content when the user scrolls, the most irritating one, and it ruins user experience. Here are the stats for winning versus losing sites. Now we have number 3, using non-original images. Remember what Amanda shared from Mary's book about putting efforts in content? It's the same thing with using original images. Nowadays, you can use Google Lens in your browser too, so they are smart enough to identify identical images all over the web. Here are the stats he shared on using non-original images. One of the key things he shared that I have been stressing a lot in my videos as well, always evaluate UX on mobile. I repeat, mobile. This is because most of your users are on mobile. Google uses mobile first indexing, and most importantly, Quality Raters uses mobile when analyzing websites and then reporting data to train search engines. In an interview with Barry from Search Engine Roundtable, Danny from Google said, "You've got a group of creators who have nothing to do with SEO. They just want to create great content." And that's great because we want to reward that. Though I don't fully agree to that, since information will be mess if it's not organized. But this tweet fits perfectly in this case. When comparing helpful versus unhelpful content, here's what Cyrus thinks. Brand search volume is going to have more impact in the future on SEO. Make users want to search for you. Next up is the presentation that I really liked, since the topic was one of my favorites and revolves around data. That is keyword clustering by Andy from Keyword Insights. If you don't know what that is, keyword clustering is a process of gathering similar keywords into groups. It makes turning a large unorganized keyword list into something that is more manageable. Essentially, there are 3 known methods that you can use for keyword clustering: SERP clustering, semantic semantic or NLP clustering, and hybrid. Each of them have their own pros and cons. For example, SERP clustering is much more accurate and configurable, but it will cost something as scraping isn't free, and also it's slow because it takes time to scrape. As for NLP or semantic clustering, it's very cheap and there are some tools that you can use to do it for free. But we operate in Google's world where real-time data is everything, so it might not be as accurate as SERP-based clustering. Now comes the hybrid approach, something that Ahrefs offers, but it's less configurable and will only work for keywords that are in Ahrefs database, although it's very instant. And he shared 3 ideas to discover content opportunities. Idea number 1, we can use keyword clustering plus rank to find content gaps. Let's say HubSpot wanted to own the topic of keyword research. How do we know what content they already have and don't have? Start by collecting a keyword universe on a given subject. Then whack them all into keyword clustering tool that also pulls in rank. Quickly filter in the report for clusters of keywords where target site doesn't rank, or if you don't have the keyword insights tool that was used in the last step, you can achieve the same results using Ahrefs. Idea number 2, content fragmentation. Well, what that means at first. So in this strategy, you splinter a competitive topic into subtopics that are highly relevant to your website and help you compete with the biggest giants. Let's say you want to rank for residential burglary. Take the top URL ranking for it and plug it in Ahrefs Site Explorer. Grab all keywords for the top ranking URL and now re-upload them into a clustering tool. You now have 25 new ideas around that topic. So we have fragmented the top article out into at least 25 separate content ideas. And lastly, idea number 3, zero volume keywords. I have been a huge fan of implementing zero search volume keywords through different angles and using different strategies for new websites with no authority in competitive niches. And share another way too, using Reddit. There is nearly always a related subreddit for a given niche. Scrape all of the questions from the subreddit, cluster them, and they aren't zero search volume keywords anymore. And he shared a tool to scrape those questions as well. I will add the link in the description. Now, publish content around those clusters and see how it works out for you. Here's one of the case studies that he shared. Alright, finally we are done, and now on to the next speaker, Nick, who is Senior Technical SEO at Digital Marketing. She spoke about CTR optimization. I won't go much in detail because she shared her point of view with the case studies and graphs that's out of the scope of this video.
That will remain my secret.
Well, here's a key point. To me, when working on any SEO campaign, the most important KPI for any SEO campaign is clicks. No matter what, any SEO is responsible for those clicks because CTR directly reflects user engagement and interests. Let it be keyword rankings, organic page visits, bounce rate, average session duration, conversion rate, and so on. While CTR isn't a direct ranking factor, it has a significant role in shaping the selection for search results by considering pages with meaningful user engagement metrics. While speaking about NavBoost, she mentioned that it uses clickstream data to identify and reward high-quality content. Pages demonstrating strong user engagement signals and low dwell times are likely to receive NavBoost, improving their ranking. After having another tea break, the next speaker in the row was Victor from SEO Profit, probably one of my favorite speakers when it comes to SEO. Well, the topic of his presentation was how to perform SEO research to find growth gaps, implement, and succeed. Guess what? He nailed it. If you are targeting a region, let's say USA, and you want to expand into other regions, here's what he suggested before you do that. Look at KD, search volume, and traffic potential, localization, and backlinks. To find the low KD keywords, enter your main keyword in Ahrefs Keyword Explorer and look at the keyword idea tab. Plug those into search bar one by one and find the one with low KD metrics. Now, look at the traffic potential the keyword has. The goal here is to find the keywords with lowest KD and highest traffic potential. You can start focusing on basing your strategy on these keywords for your local domain. Now, if you have a .com domain and not local domain, you need to do way more. Feel free to take the screenshot, otherwise it would take another 5 minutes to explain the roadmap he suggested. All in all, what you did here is find a language in your region that has the demand, use Ahrefs to find the keywords, make language version of it, and get more traffic. But here's the most important point. If you found a good keyword group that can easily rank, it doesn't mean it will make you more money, because maybe there is no offer and no competition for a reason. The next strategy he shared is something that I shared in my previous videos as well, that is low DR websites that are ranking in top 5 to 10 for the keywords that you want to target. Start exploring and studying them. One key thing here is that low DR doesn't mean it's for real. Look for 301 redirects or hidden links. Though in most cases, DR is correct, but just double check if it's it's now a new domain with a redirect from an old one. Then he went on to conduct content gap analysis using Ahrefs. Since he is a big fan of filters, here are the suggested ones. And for the link intersect, use these filters. Now the thing that I really loved was the SEO process he mentioned. Honestly, it really is that simple. Links, content, on-page, technical blockers, and UX UI. That's really it. We often make it much more complicated. So when researching, here's what you want to know. How good is the text? Can you make it better? How many links and what type of links are major? Can you make better? Are there any new websites in the SERP or any old age domains with good history and brand? Can you enter this keyword group with your domain parameters, or should you look for an easier one, or should you look for an age domain to compete? What is the competitor's structure and on page? Can you make better? Because you want to improve the organic traffic, look for the gaps, what needs to be done fast. Let it be links, content, or making the website better so it gives more conversion. We're pretty much done with the day one task and on to the last one, why AI content is short-time arbitrage, not long-term strategy, by Ryan Law, who is Director of Content Marketing at Ahrefs. When we talk about AI content, the biggest problem is it's scientifically mediocre. Also, people don't really buy from the junk content, right? As it's not fun for human. Here's why he made the statement it's mediocre. An LLM will focus on the most probable next words. It's like a musician reading sheet music, moving through the notes one at a time. The goal is to figure out what the next word is likely to be. This is what Brittany said. Coming back to the point, content has a bigger impact on your brand than anything else. You can't build a brand with AI content. Take a look at Zapier's top pages. Most AI content processes require a human in the loop for fact checking, editing, copy editing, and bylining. But nobody wants to edit AI slop. So we need to stop automating the fun parts and expecting people to do the boring parts.
Keep it real, homies.
If we look at a broader perspective, in the past, all lasting content strategies have some unique, hard to imitate quality. So there is no mode for AI content. If you can publish 1000 amazing AI articles, your competitors can do the same. At best, AI content is a form of short-term arbitrage, a small window of opportunity to build tons of traffic before a competitor or a dozen of competitors decide to do the same. AI is great at shallow topics where you need an objective answer and something where people can't add value. For example, grocery pages. Then he shared his point of view why deep content will protect your brand. It's because deep topics are too complex or nuanced for AI to do well. They require first-hand experience to be credible and cover business critical areas. With AI content bringing more competition and AI overviews being a cause of fewer clicks, deep topics will become more valuable. Most clicks will go to the deep topics. Most backlinks will be earned by deep content, and most sales will result from deep content as well. And here's how they make deep content at Ahrefs. First, experiment. When you experiment, you create something new and proprietary. If someone wants your information, there is only one place they can get it. They conduct various industry surveys and run tests to understand how things work. Then, effort. Most companies using AI content wants to save money, not make amazing things. To stand out, make better things, and create content that is more than words on a page. For this, they have built various free tools. They embed videos content in blogs that is made by their own team. They invest in design and on-page user experience. Lastly, experience. When it's easy to get answers to questions, readers will care more about the source of the answer. If they want to buy a new camera, they will prefer a reviewer that bought, used, and compared actual cameras. That's it for Ryan. Now onto the day 2. Finally, I had a severe headache that day, so I wasn't able to really catch up like I did on the first day, but I will try my best to share whatever I can. After the conference kickoff by Alex, Tim went on the stage. He is CMO at Ahrefs and shared what's new at Ahrefs and what's coming. You can read more about those features and stuff on their product blog, and I will add the link in the description as well. Then, our all-time favorite speakers, Aleyda, went on the stage to talk about how one can be successful with their SEO in 2024 and beyond. It has never been harder to sell SEO. It has also never been harder to achieve SEO goals, and it's all due to fine state of SEO in 2024. How we are going to achieve SEO goals if uncertainty that this might end up happening with Google updates if you're a small website, while the biggest UGC platforms continue to gain visibility and outrank specialized sites. Something I discussed in great detail when summarizing Lily's presentation. The thing is, Google is not yet going away. It's still the biggest traffic referrer, and the organic search remains the dominant source of trackable web traffic so far. Despite search shifts, uncertainty, and execution issues, most projects still achieve their SEO goals. So it's time to change how we think about the SEO problems we face to better tackle them and maximize our SEO success.
Gentlemen,
Time to change.
At a high level, the SEO challenge is whether about the brand or product depending on the size. For smaller companies, solving brand, popularity and authority issue is the biggest one. For bigger companies and websites, the product, that is execution, buy-in and alignment, is the top challenge. In terms of SEO areas of importance, it translates to this, but the difference in size also impacts the type of challenges faced at the execution level. Growing a brand is about establishing an identity to facilitate recognition and reputation, which are used by quality raters to evaluate sites as well. We have learned this in Google Doc leak learnings that Google tracks many signals related to brand assessment, because our research by Moss suggests the HCU might be using the brand, that is nav searches versus backlinks, as a signal. Also, SERPs are full of features now, so establishing a brand that people can trust and have affinity for is a key to attracting traffic. Remember the point that I explained by using Nike example previously in this video? This will be even more important in the future with AI personalized SERPs. So here are the practical ways she shared to address the brand and product challenges within SEO for scalable SEO success. First, you need to understand the brand core, positioning and persona to drive your SEO efforts accordingly. Especially your brand positioning, that is how you're going to differentiate versus competitors and why you should be chosen over them. So let's say you are a cruise line. Will you want to rank for cheap cruise? If it aligns with your brand positioning, then you should go for it. Alright, let's see how to integrate branding in your SEO strategy on branded and non-branded SERPs. Coming back to the fundamentals, is your brand recognized as an entity in Google's knowledge graph? If yes, are the details correct or not? Then calculate your salience score towards your brand query. Are there other sites recognized for it too? Specify all brand details through the organization schema on your site. Use every relevant property. If exists, claim your knowledge panel and suggest changes to make the details accurate. Now, let's talk about beyond the brand. Develop your site's knowledge graph to specify all relevant entities and semantic connections in your content to facilitate Google relevant assessment. See what are users asking about your brand. Are the questions aligned with your brand strategy? You can achieve the same results in GSE as well to see what they are asking about your brand using regex. On top of that, analyze sentiment of the top questions analyzing add-ons like numerous.ai to classify them. Alternatively, you can research what questions people ask about your brand compared to the competitors. Can you solve those issues in relevance to your target audience or not? Since we are talking about branding here, analyze what conversations are going on about your brand on social platforms, what their sentiment is, and you can use a tool like buzzabout.ai for that. At the end of the day, it's the alignment of all these actions that will help you establish a recognizable brand that's so popular in its sector Google can't overlook, and user will click even if it's not in the first position. Once you've started positioning and growing an authoritative brand Google can't overlook, it's time to solve the product problem now. Start by understanding the product triangle. Unsurprisingly, there are 3 areas of stakeholders involved in SEO execution that can make or break the process. SEO should also align with the needs, constraints, and goals of 3 areas to avoid common issues. Then she went on explaining some product management principles to solve the alignment challenges. If it seems too much work, then I think it's good, because not everyone puts in work, so there will be less competition and much more chances for success. At the end of the day, it's about results. Tea break, please. Alright, on to one of the speakers who is liked at every conference he goes to, Fery from Search Intelligence. He did a masterclass on digital PR, sharing sales process, the onboarding process, handling the most common objections of clients, and full campaign cycle from A to Z when selling digital PR. So when it comes to sales, there are 2 main ways to get started: book a meeting or self-checkout. The pros for self-checkout is that it's highly scalable. You don't have to hire SDRs to take on meetings and close clients. On the other hand, it has a low conversion rate because clients may not be able to understand your services. While the book a meeting approach has high conversion rate compared to self-checkout, as it helps build great relationships with your clients, but the major con is clients may expect constant communication, although you can fix this by being upfront with them. So when you are in a meeting, explain the service thoroughly, including what your service is and what not. And don't ever promise leads or rank increase, especially when selling digital PR, because you are not controlling those websites. Now, when it comes to digital PR workflow, it should look like a production line like this. Then he shared his 8-step workflow, and it will take me another 10 minutes to explain that, so I will add self-explanatory screenshots here so you can understand it. Secondly, he explained about his training system and the training modules they have in their company to train in-house teams. In his last section, he explained his process for running the digital PR campaign that I already covered in my SEO Master Summit 2024 recap video. Just one thing that wasn't covered are the sources to find ideas on topics when it comes to reactive PR. So here you go. Identify trends among sports celebrities, influencers, singers, actors, events, and films. And the tools that you can use here are YouTube trending search section, exploring topics, Twitter trends, and the news outlets themselves. Rest of the process of finding journalists and press release writing is same as I explained in that video. Alright, if you want to get insights on what someone could have learned from auditing over 1 million websites, yes, million, then Patrick is the guy, the next speaker. He's a product advisor, technical SEO, and brand ambassador at Ahrefs. He started by sharing the most common technical issues from a study of 1 million plus domains. But the most common ones are not the most important ones. When we talk about technical SEO, the prioritization is hard. Which one to fix, when, and how important that issue actually is. So he suggests using an impact effort matrix. I would highly recommend you watching my content audit video if you want to understand how I prioritize it for, let's say, broken pages or simply the content. As per him, some SEOs prioritize things too high. There are things that you shouldn't be worried about. For example, redirect change. Google can follow up 10 hops, so you don't need to worry if it's more than 5. Example number 2, double slash in the URL. It's ignored by search engines and browsers too. At the end of the day, the major focus should be ROI. And here, the investment is not only money, but time. Since there is no major site that is technically perfect, the workaround is work at scale and take easy wins. For example, automate redirects. Pull data for hits and RDs for pages that are 404, find the next best match, and then write the redirect rules or make it so someone can implement it with a click. We talked about what you shouldn't care about. Let's see what you should. Pages not indexed that should be, internal links, especially broken internal links to the main pages, page level no flow, and hreflang. According to him, it's the most expensive issue he has ever worked on. It costs millions of dollars a day. And then JavaScript issues, such as content not downloaded by default and stuff like this. That impacts the site performance and health, directly impacting the ROI.
I'm tired, boss.
The last talk of the second day was Jason's on building his agency to over $20 million from the ground up. I would love to share the key learnings in this video, but it was quite similar to what he shared in recent SEO Master Summit presentation. I would highly recommend you guys checking that out. Although it will help me with engagement as well, but I'm sure you will learn a lot since everyone really liked his presentation. Lastly, I intentionally didn't cover 3 presentations from the speakers in this video because they were not focused on SEO. That's it for this video. If you liked it and want to appreciate my efforts, please share this video among your peers you consider will get a benefit. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.